welcome to Wee Willy Wonderfuls, and we're going to be showing you how to make the baby giraffe's tail. So here we have a little baby giraffe. He's looking ever so sad because he's got no tail. And I've had a couple of people ask me how to do it because it's a little bit of a different technique. So I'm going to show you. So we have our baby giraffe pattern. We have the wool from the kit. This also works obviously if you're making a different coloured giraffe. A 3.5mm crochet hook, a blunt ended needle and a pair of scissors. So we're going to have a look at the pattern, what it says first, and then we're going to show you. So to make the tail, we're going to make one in our main colour, chain 6 stitches and fasten off. With your contrast colour, use a double thread on your needle and sew through the tail end. Knot and fasten off, trim to 2 centimetres. Run the blunt end of your needle through the threads to split the wool and give it a curly effect. So let's show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to use our main colour, which is this one, for this giraffe. We're making the traditional coloured baby giraffe. And we're going to do a slip knot, which is, we make a loop. We'll leave a little bit of a strand because then we've got that to sew it on. Pop the loop through like so. I'll show you that again. So we'll make a loop. This is the end that leads to our ball of wool. Pop that behind your loop and pull it through. And then we're going to pop that on our crochet hook. So that is our slip knot. So to chain, there is a separate video for chain if you want to watch it in more detail. But for a chain, we wrap the wool around, hold on to everything, keep it in place, and then just use our hook to pull it through. So it's one chain. So you can either wrap the wool around, but once you get more used to it, I tend to go like that, get my hook on the left hand side, go underneath it, just grab it with the hook, that's what that bit's there for, to hold on to it, and pull it through the loop. Try and get them as even as you possibly can, the stitches. Don't have it so tight on your hook that you can't get the wool through, but don't have it really loose that you've got really big stitches. So we're going to do 6, let's just count those. This part at the bottom with the line going across is our slip knot, so that does not count as a stitch. These little V's are the stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The loop on our hook is just our working yarn, so that does not count either. So that's 6, easy as that. We'll make our loop a little bit bigger just to make it easier. We're going to cut our wool. Just a few centimetres is fine. And then we're just going to put that through the loop and pull it tight, because otherwise if we don't do that, our chain will just unravel. So now what we're going to do is do our double knot. So what I've done is we're just going to create the tassels, sorry. We're using our contrast colour, which for the baby giraffe is the darker gold. I've just cut a few inches off. When it says thread a double thread, it just means to pull it so that both ends are level, so it's doubled over. And then we're going to go into the end of our chain. Either end would work fine. Just going to use the needle and go through the knot at the end. Oh, I've gone right through. A bit too far. So I'm just going to go into that last stitch there. Go through, not go all the way through like that. And then I'm going to go back through. Just leave in a few centimetres, 2-3 centimetres. I'm going to go back through that, and just to make it more secure, I'm going to pop my needle through those loops. It'll just make it not, so it's a bit more secure. If you've got children that are going to be playing with it and they're pulling on it, they could pull it out, that's all. So that will give it a knot on the end, like a really, really tight and secure. And I'm just going to cut this off, like so. And then it says trim to around 2 centimetres. As long as you want it. I'll leave that one separate. That's the wool from the end of our chain. I'll show you what we do with that in a minute. So I'm going to cut it down to the length that I want. So cut them all evenly. So about that long is fine. It's 2 centimetres on the pattern, but obviously as long as or short as you want. Now we're going to use the blunt end of our needle. So that's not the pointed end, that's the part where you thread your wool through, and then we're just going to go in there and we're just splitting the wool. And what this does, it just gives it a wiggly effect. Looks like, Giraffe looks like she's had a little perm on the end of her trail. That's just to split it like so. So you can just split it a couple of times, or you can split it a bit more. The more you do it, it'll have a more thin and fluffy effect. So once you've done that, look at that, looks cute. If you wanted to add more, you could add another double strand. Look at that, that's quite cute. So you can trim it again if you want it a little bit neater on the ends. So once you've done that, you could find it goes a little bit more uneven. So we've just trimmed that to make it neater. With this strand here, I'm just going to sew that in. If we just cut it, it'll have a stuck out bit, which might look unsightly. So I'll show you how we can get rid of that. We're going to thread it onto the needle, and then we're just going to go onto the tail like so, and just split that stitch and just go partly into it like so. And then again just like that, and then just cut it off. So we've just lost it on the end of there by threading it through. You can just trim it at the bottom, to be honest, but I always like to finish off the ends wherever possible. So that gives our little tail. Look how cute that is. It's a little dinky tail. And then we're going to use the strand at the other end. So whichever way around you do it's okay. I tend to use the part that where I started the chain for this end to sew it onto our giraffe's bottom. So we're going to thread the needle again. So I'm struggling to see it a little bit. So I'm trying to do it in the screen of the camera and it's a little bit tricky. Right, so we've just threaded that onto there. So now we're going to turn over our little giraffe. Don't look, giraffe, when you're having surgery on your bottom. And we wanted our tail just to be at the back here. Now we have had another tail on there, look, it fell off. Oops. So we'll get rid of the thread for that. First, we'll just cut that off. So we want his tail to be sort of there on his bum, just here. Try and get it in the centre, so we're going to go for it here. So I'm just going to go under a stitch here. Pull that like so, and then I might want to just have it flat like that. And then I'm just going to go into the tail and then also stitch into the giraffe. And then if you want it quite neat, you can go back into your hole and then come back up through here. If you don't want big lines of stitches on the outside, that's all, so you can pop back into your hole. Try and keep them neat and quite close together. I'll come out a little bit away and then go back in through that hole so you're not leaving a big line. And up through the tail. You need to make sure you've done several stitches. Give it a tug, make sure it's quite secure. And so if it's for a small child, sew it in a lot more and do lots of stitches. It doesn't matter so much if it's a little bit, you can see your stitches a bit more. The most important thing is getting it secure because they will soon have it pulled off. Right, so now we've finished off. Now we're happy with it. We're just going to go back into where we came out. Come out a couple of centimetres away, so you don't catch the tail. Then go back down into that same hole and come out a centimetre or two away. And do that a couple of times. And then we're just going to pull the thread a little bit taut. Snip it. Be careful not to snip your giraffe. And then because you pulled it taut, it'll spring back and go inside. So it's disappeared inside and it's all knotted up with the stuffing. So it's vanished. And there's our little tail. Look at that. How cute is that? Really simple, only takes a few minutes to make. Thank you for watching.